have that third day off, or at least not to have to come to school that third day. But I know that many of you worked, if you follow social media and you see the sports teams and fine arts, I mean, it's always very busy. So again, welcome. This morning, we kind of give you an overview of the day. We've got quite a bit packed into today. This morning, we'll be at Har-Ber High School. We'll be learning. I really appreciate our teachers willing to have different breakout sessions and volunteering to host those. So this morning we will be here, and then this afternoon I'm really looking forward to learning from Solution Tree. Anytime they've put together PD, it is really good stuff. Not sure how it'll look since we'll all be at the Performing Arts Center at Springdale High School, but I know the presenters will be good. So anyway, I appreciate you being here this morning, and as I mentioned at the last faculty meeting, we've started some work with SREB, the Southern Regional Educational Board. It's a group of, I believe it's 12 states in the South who are committed to improving education for schools, not only public schools, but also universities. And so we've partnered with them to get just a proactive lens of if and when we transition to block scheduling, what that could look like. Because again, I think it's better to be in the driver's seat than it is to have to figure it out as we go. So we've started that relationship with them, and a couple of weeks ago, we had our department chairs serve as that initial board, if you will, working with them. And I'm going to introduce Michael Spencer. He's agreed to kind of kickstart our morning and give it an overview of what that work looked like, and then we'll have different presenters talk about the different focus teams. And the goal is, at the end of that piece, before we go into our breakout sessions, that every teacher will sign up for one of those focus teams. So, Michael, thank you for coming this morning and leading our session.
Morning. I'm just a member of this team, this focus group, and they liked how it sounds coming out of my mouth, so that's why I'm up here. I'm representing the World Languages Department, and by the way, what's the least spoken language in the world? Sign language. So, anyways, so we got together, and we talk about like lead teachers and department chairs. That includes athletics, music, electives. We tried to make sure that there were people representing as many aspects of the school. We had counselors, special education, and administrators. And we started going through this process of school improvement. And here's one of the things that we looked at, and this is the process that we want to go through. I know you probably can't read what it says, but it's divided into sections: plan, do, check, and then act. You make a plan, you start doing the plan, you check, if there's something that needs to change, and then you act upon those changes, then you repeat the process. But let me go to the next slide because it's a little bit simpler. And I know the yellow one is highlighted. I believe we're actually on the one right before the yellow, because first you have to establish a need for change among those who must change. And I think we all can agree that there is a need for improvements. And then you establish a vision for that change and engage those who must change. So this is the point where we are going beyond just the lead teachers and administrators, and we want to engage everybody in the entire school in this improvement process, this change. So I'm going to explain exactly what we mean by that, and Dr. Greep already kind of mentioned it, but we want to get everybody involved in this decision-making process. So we've been, this was, the hypothesis here is if we go to a block schedule in the future, that would be an improvement, or that would lead to improvement. But this process, we started thinking about, well, what are the issues that we face in Har-Ber High School? We looked at, what are some good things that we already got going on? What are some areas that we need to improve? And then we asked ourselves, if we change to a block schedule, would that help us go in the right direction to improving and where we need to improve? And also, not only that, if we shift to a block schedule, first of all, how would we do that, and what else do we have to consider? How would that affect everything else that we do? Because we realize real quickly, it's not just as simple as changing the periods and when you see kids and how many minutes. There's a lot that goes into it, and we realize we have to not only focus on the schedule, but we also have to focus on all the aspects of everything that we do that would be affected by this schedule. And we have to decide, is this really the best thing to do, and how can we do this in a positive way, and not just kind of rushing through it. So I appreciate that we're being systematic in this method that we're going through, and we're involving everybody. So we've all got skin in the game. We sat in that we need to consider that might be affected positively or negatively, and how can we anticipate possible issues? How can we adjust to resolve those issues? So we came up with 6 different focus groups, and the first one is the block structure. The second one is instruction. How does it affect instruction? Obviously, if you have different lengths of periods, maybe not meeting on the every single day. We have curriculum. What is being taught? How does that affected by a block schedule? Student support, system alignment, and then also there's the culture of continuous improvement, which means how do we get everybody pushing in the same direction, everybody willing to do what it takes to adapt to this change. And I'm skipping over these for a reason, because we're going to take some time now to go through each of these 6 focus groups to show you exactly what are the things that we've already identified that we need to look at and consider, and so that you can kind of look through and think, which one do you feel kind of more drawn to, that you feel maybe an aptitude for, like I can probably help us figure this out. So there are a few others that are going to help me with this. I'm going to start with the first one. So those of you who are also going to be helping to go through these, if you want to go ahead and make your way down. So we talk about block structure. We're talking about the logistics of everything, the scheduling. I'm introducing this part because this is my favorite part. I just love logistics, and I don't know why, but I'm a puzzle person. I like to figure out how to fit things together. Like playing Tetris, how do you get the most out of the space you got? So my mind just kind of like turns on whenever we talk about figuring out how to make things like this work. I've been a student in a block schedule. I've been a student teacher in a block schedule. So I feel like I have a little bit of experience that I can look at it from different points of view. But we realize that it's not just as simple as changing the schedule. There's a lot of things that go into this. You have to think about transportation. That already is getting into how things affect not just our school, but other schools. Because you have bus routes and start-stop times. You have students that might transport between schools. You have teachers that might transport between schools. You have to think about not just your typical everyday classrooms, but you have to think about the impact on, ELLs, IEPs, and 504s, how that might have to change once you change the setting that students are learning in. We have to talk about, lunch times, and making sure that we consider everybody that's going to be affected, not just the core classes. We have teams and groups that are rehearsing and practicing every day, and hopefully every day. I mean, we want them to continue to practice every day, even though some people may not be meeting in class every single day. And we have students who are in JAG, who are doing concurrent classes through NWAC or in WTI, and so we want to make sure that we're not making things harder for people that we're considering all of those aspects. So you might already see some way that you and what you teach or who you teach is being affected or could be affected by this, and you might think, okay, I want to help figure that out. Of course, there's other aspects to it. If you I want to help figure out the logistics, you can sign up for this group if you're thinking more about not just logistics, but other aspects that can be affected. I'm going to let the other representatives of this team explain more about what are some of the points that we need to look at for those. And this isn't all of them. These are just the biggest ones, the most common ones that we came up with as we all kind of brainstorm and just thought it through. And there's definitely others that we have to think about as well. So I'm going to let the next one come up. Instruction. Who had instruction? Okay. You want me to do it for you? Okay. Let's not make this a trend. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So, instruction. This is probably one of the most directly impacted aspects of changing, because you're changing the length of class periods and the frequency of class periods, and we don't know what the schedule is going to be like. We don't. There's all kinds of modified block schedules, and that's one of the things that we're going to do over these next several months is try to figure out what it is. There will be. We will be looking at what other schools are doing. We will be going to other schools and observing what they're doing. So we're going to look at as many. Sorry, I keep on getting into the picture there. Okay. So we have to look at how this, not just what it's going to look like, but how it'll affect students. How does it affect how teachers teach? Obviously, when you plan lessons in units, it's a different amount of time. So you're gonna, restructure a bit what you do, and the length of instruction changes. We might look at providing, how much professional development do we need to provide for teachers and staff in adapting to that, with best practices. The way you design lessons in units might go a little bit differently, especially if you're not going to see them every single day. Reteaching is going to be even more important. Assessment expectations and classroom management. Kids being in the same room for longer periods of time could be an issue. And not just of their behavior, but their efficacy. And so we also got literacy strategies and feedback on there. Okay, I know I'm not trying to go into depth, just making sure that when you look at the words, you know what we're talking about. So let's go to the next one. We got, it says, in case you can't read it, I'm moving away. If we aren't implementing correctly, not everyone stays engaged. And you have the office, a lot of people look not engaged. So if kids can't pay attention for 47 minutes, just imagine 60 or 70 or 80 minutes. And I'm not saying that it won't work. I'm just saying we got to think about how to change what we do so that it does work. Okay, who wants to talk about curriculum? Miss Gutierrez and Miss Monton? Miss Priest, sorry. Why did I say?
So we're actually stepping in for Travis Fink. So curriculum, the one thing that you want to think about is how curriculum would be affected by a block schedule if we went that route. So essentially, in this focus group, we would focus on essential standards, pacing guides, planning and PLC, course pathways, testing, integrated content, course exploration, career certifications, and internships. Sorry. And then student support.
All right, so my name is Jennifer Baker, and most of y'all know who I am. I'm the lead special education teacher here at Har-Ber. One of the reasons why I chose this group of support, student support, is that I feel like we do a lot here to support all of our students, but I do know that as additional duties, technology advancement, more and more is being placed on both teachers and students. And so I really just wanted to be a part of this group so I could assist in hearing your voice as to what you need to better serve our students across the board, whether it's IEPs, JAG, personalized learning, and clubs. So that's just the reason why I chose this particular area. Thank you.
So this one was everyone's favorite because at first no one knew what it meant, just in case you wanted to know. But essentially it's just like aligning our current systems to block schedule. A lot of things would be affected, such as like accountability for both teachers and students. Perhaps even the teacher evaluation system, houses, and policies and procedures. That might be the biggest one, such as how do we take attendance, what would be the rules and procedures in regards to like discipline for students or for teachers, how do we look into the process of transferring students, retention, peer observations, and then site visits to see like how other schools do block scheduling in their building.
So I want to piggyback on what Michael was talking about. When we went through this the other day, we really just had a good old bitch session of like what's going well and what do we need to fix, and that took half the morning, and we went around sticky noted, just list all the things that you think we could get better at, and that's where we came up with these, where we kind of categorized them and came up with these big idea pictures, and the idea is that you guys will find something that you're passionate about that you really want to improve in our school and make that, the group that you choose. So we were passionate about the continuous learning and collaboration, like the culture of learning here, and thinking about teaching for 90 minutes, having a block schedule. And again, all of this is all theoretical right now. The SREB grant that we got, the cool thing about it is that they're gonna partner with us and we can do all kinds of research, and they'll do the research for us, which is also great. And and give us ideas of things that work in other high schools our size and with our population. And so that's the good thing about it. They're going to be helping us do this. But we chose this idea of continuous learning because if we're going to be making this transition, if we decide it fits for our school's needs, then it's going to be an ongoing process. And I like that we have a year and a half to plan it, really a year, because probably around this time next year we'll need to kind of have an idea of what we're doing. So that's good news too, is that we have some time to think about this and visit other schools. I was passionate, and I'll let Lauren talk about her feelings, but I chose this one because I feel like if we're making this huge change, how great could it be to like bring in programs that we know work other places and add to our culture. So one thing we talked about in our group was, 90 minutes, how do you break that up and not like have 20 minutes left at the end and just let kids get on their phone. And I know some of y'all were here that year that we had, I can't remember what we called it, but it was where every kid had a book. Every kid had a book, and every teacher had we had to put on our door, on our board, what were we reading now, what were we going to read next. And that year was awesome to me. Like, I felt like it changed, kids' free time. I mean, there was this is before we had computers anyway, I believe, but, there was just this expectation school-wide, it didn't matter what class they were in, that if we had 5 minutes left, okay, get your book out, because every kid had a book. There was no exception. And so my heart is there, like this kind of like common practices that we all kind of expect kids to have, and bringing in some of like those big programs that we could use school-wide, and just kind of all of us having the same expectation for kids. So that's kind of my common practices, this, this culture that we build around like learning and making it priority.
My feelings are kind of the same as Amy's with that too. And so I feel like a lot of different groups, and we're on the 6th group now, and you're like, this is a lot. When we were in it too, I didn't know what group I wanted, and I realized maybe not frustrate, but what is challenging for me when I come to school every day. And for me, it's those common practices of fighting the battle of a phone. Well, they can have it in math and world languages, but then when they come to my class, they can't have it, so they're really mad and frustrated. And I thought if they had the common practice, and Amy mentioned y'all did the book thing one year before my time, I was like, that would be amazing. If that was the expectation, is now you read instead of just getting on your phone. So I care about that one. Another one was PLCs. I still hear people not complain, but just the frustration of every single day, how do we fill our PLC time? What can we do? That's something else. I want my PLC to be even more productive than it already is, and it gets better every year. But that's a team that I would want to spend my time having those conversations more so than the other groups. All stakeholders, I don't really remember with that. I think it was just community and parent. Yeah. And then PD, just helping to organize that and come up with ideas of if we were to go to block scheduling, what PD would be helpful.
I think that was it. Okay. I'm not answering questions, but you can ask questions, but yeah. Oh, okay. In our Har-Ber teacher classroom, faculty classroom, there's a sign up. So think about it today. Think about those 6 areas. What are you passionate about? And sign up for which focus group you want to be involved in. I think the idea is that we won't necessarily have house meetings. We'll still have faculty meetings, but when we break up into our Wednesday faculty meetings or house meetings, we'll be going more into these groups and start working on it. Because right now it's just we have questions like, okay, what do we need to work on? The next step would be research. And so sign up for something you're passionate about so that, you're kind of involved in the decision making and planning and all that.
Well, thank you to all. Again, it's exciting as principal to see teacher leaders, just step up and want to be part of this piece. So it should have been released at 8:30, a survey sent to you through Google Classroom. The expectation is that every teacher signs up for one focus session. So please be sure you do that today. I'd hate to assign you to a group. I want you to be able to pick which one of those groups you're most passionate about. And then from there, we'll kind of look at natural leaders that want to help take charge of one of those groups. So again, I really appreciate our teachers helping put that together. Again, it's exciting. This is something that we all are part of. Okay, in just a moment, we're going to be breaking out into our different PD rotations. Mr. Spencer, you want to introduce our group? We'll be breaking into these 3 different rotations. It should have been sent to you. Ms. Lowe sent that out. And so I just want to make sure everyone knows where we're reporting to. Again, I really appreciate our teachers rather than... Is it too early to pick on Dr. Gladden already and recycle an old joke? Truth is, Dr. Gladden wanted to give us 3 hours about his dissertation, and it is good stuff. But is that a bad joke? It really is a good dissertation, though, how to get our Marshallese involved so that way student achievement increases. But anyway, I love Curtis, as you know. Anyway, make sure you know which group you're going to. And again, thank you to our teachers who said, hey, I'm willing to, on a Monday after a long break, share something I'm passionate about. Again, I know they put a lot of work in. We have some guests this morning. And Mr. Spencer, would you introduce our group?
So we have some teachers that it's I don't know exactly, it's TEA, but there's like a Fulbright program at the University of Arkansas, and they bring teachers from all over the world for a program here. And a part of that program is they do a field experience in some of the local schools. And so we have 8 teachers here. There's a total of 20-something teachers, I think, from 17 different countries. And so we have 8 teachers here from 8 different countries. And and I know many of you have met them, and I want to say thank you for those who were willing to let them just come by and see what you do, because they're trying to soak up as much as they can in 1 week of what high schools in America and the United States look like. And so they're trying to see, first of all, just kind of, it's a cool thing, because Har-Ber has so much that not even a lot of schools in the USA have, but also trying to take back with them as much as they can in this experience. So I would like to, I'll let them stand up just to wave at you, and you can make your, and they're a great group. I mean, they're probably among the best of the best from their country, and we've enjoyed working with them, this past week. This is the last day, and even though it's a PD day, they had them come with us so they can experience what is a professional development day like in United States schools. So hopefully you get a chance to meet them or introduce yourself if you haven't had that opportunity already.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer. Okay, before we dismiss, just a couple of general announcements. A reminder, we will meet at 12:30 at Springdale High School in the Pat Walker Theater. Please be on time. 12:30 is when we'll begin. The district has asked that we kind of sit according to the front, not that everyone goes to the back. Again, they want to make sure that the audience is more toward the front of the PAC. So again, we'll see you at 12:30, and anyway, have a great day of learning. Make sure you know which session to go to, and we'll see you in a bit.